The UFC is headed to San Antonio to celebrate Mexican Independence Day, and they've got a pretty solid fight card with them. We have Silva taking on Diego Lopes in the main event of the evening, which very well may set up the next title shot. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to break down the entire Noche UFC fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and DraftKings Fantasy Plays. But before I do that, let me show you this. What this is about $30,000 of winning DraftKings fantasy tickets. These tickets were put together in the last couple of months. These are all people who reached out saying, hey, I used your tools on the website and look at all the money I made. And I've shown this graphic before because obviously we're pretty proud of it. The fact that we have a $10 a month service and people are able to make $20, $30, $40, $50, $60,000 is pretty impressive. But I know some of you see that and you're like, that's crazy. I'm not going to win that. That's nuts. So what I also want to show is normal wins. At Paris last week, we got a bunch of random DMs and tickets and things like that. Here's just one of those. This is from Pop Squally. I mean, that's the name. There's nothing I can do about that. And he said, I appreciate you and Jakey boy for all you do. I got first place using the tools. It's not much, but a win is a win. And if you take a look, he won about $90. He took first place in his DraftKings fantasy tournament, and he won about $90. $90 isn't the $30,000 that I showed on this slide, but $90 is 9 months worth of premium membership. So if he went to the website, paid $10 for access, and then won $90, that worked out pretty well. If you want to go to our website and access all the tools that these people are shouting us out for, it's only $10 for an entire month. Go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. For $10, you'll unlock literally everything instantly. We have all the fantasy tools you could ever want or need, like an event simulator. What this does is it simulates every fight on the card 100,000 times, tells you who's going to win, who's going to lose, how many points they'll score along the way, how many strikes they'll land, and all of those things. We have a DraftKings Fantasy Optimizer. This will build DraftKings fantasy lineups for you. It'll also build FanDuel fantasy lineups for you. Couple clicks of the button, it'll spit out those lineups. And if you don't know what any of that is, and you're like, well, hey, I enjoy the videos, and I saw that this guy made $90. I saw that these people made $30,000. I want to dabble. I want to try. Well, on the optimizer, we have a slider here that says beginner mode. What that does is it, instead of using all of the advanced stats and statistics, it now converts over to just normal language mode. So now it'll say things like, hey, who are your most confident favorites? Yo, any underdogs you like? Big dog. Anybody you don't want in the lineup? And you answer those questions, and it'll build those fantasy lineups for you. Every single thing I just mentioned, a bunch of things I didn't mention, like the artificial intelligence, like the bets, the picks, the round line leans, all available in one package. No upsell, no cross-sell, no nonsense, no bullshit. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It's $10 for an entire month. That'll get you Noche. That'll get you UFC 320. That'll get you UFC Perth. That'll get you, what the hell's that other card right there? UFC Rio. All of those cards, $10. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Let's go ahead and dive into this fight card. We have 14 fights to break down, and I think 4 UFC debuts, which always makes these things a little tricky. 2 of those debuts will be fighting for the title of the Ultimate Fighter. Daniil Donchenko will be taking on Rodrigo Sezinando to be the welterweight Ultimate Fighting Champion. This fight was supposed to happen at UFC 319, but Rodrigo, Daniil's opponent, got hurt. Should be a pretty fun matchup. Daniil's the better fighter of the two. He's a nasty striker. He's got some power, does a good job lighting your legs up and then chasing the head. He can hit hard. He mixes things up, and he can grapple as well. He's constantly looking for a finish, but he can fade as the fight goes on. He's a favorite here at $8,800, and he's taking on Rodrigo Sezinando. Rodrigo Sezinando is like a Brazilian fighter from, let's say, 7-8 years ago. He's not full-blown well-rounded. He's going to come forward. He's incredibly tough. He's looking to drag you to the ground and out-grapple you. And if we look at Brazilian fighters as a whole, we have the strikers, we have the grapplers, and obviously we have the well-rounded. But I'm talking about 7-8 years ago. We have the primary strikers from like Curitiba, and then we have the grapplers. So we had the Anderson Silvas and the Jose Aldos and all of them, and then we had the Damian Maias in that world. Rodrigo Sezinando is almost a throwback. He's closer to one-dimensional than he is multi-dimensional. He is very tough. His striking's not great, but he will get after it. It's the jiu-jitsu, it's the pressure, it's the pace, it's the wrestling that does it for him. I do think Daniil's going to win this fight, but he's certainly not going to find a finish. And Rodrigo at $7,400 could just have a very boring win that scores pretty well because of the cage control, because of the takedowns. I'm going to fade Daniil here. I think he wins the fight, but I'm not going to have him in a fantasy lineup. Rodrigo is definitely somebody I would look out for the fantasy lineup because of the wrestling upside and just how incredibly tough he is. Then we have Alice Pereira taking on Montserrat Rendon. Alice Pereira, and I'm enunciating every letter there because it's not Alex, and they're not related. But she is tall, she is long, and she is a striker. She's also only 19 years old, and she was signed by the UFC. She skipped the Ultimate Fighter. She skipped the Contender Series, went right into the big show, and is on a decent card. This year's Noche isn't exactly what last year's was, but it is a named card in a full-blown arena. Alice Pereira can be an unbelievable prospect, or, like so many others in 2025, can get smoked and embarrassed. She's 6-0 in her career, and she's looked pretty good. She's beating people. She's outstriking. We can see some takedown defense, but obviously she hasn't fought anybody anywhere near UFC level. And while Montserrat Rendon isn't exactly the most successful UFC fighter of all time, she does have a win. And she did have some success in the Zaria Zenikova, or Daria. Here we go, guys. We're going to do this together. Daria Zelezniakova. Hey, I got there. Daria Zelezniakova. Montserrat Rendon is a grappler for the most part. She's going to move forward. She's got a couple of Titanics going along with her. She's going to move forward. She's going to jab. She's going to work in some takedowns, kind of get in your face. She doesn't have like big, huge, clean wrestling takedowns, but she does have good pressure, good pace, and she will grind. If we take a look at this most recent loss, she had 3 takedowns. You can't see the other stats here, but she landed 25 significant strikes. She had her strikes doubled. Her opponent landed more than that. And that's why she lost that fight, because the empty takedowns just weren't enough for them to care. We do have an interesting dynamic here, though, because while Alice should be the better striker, faster, cleaner, more accurate, I don't know if she's powerful enough to knock out Montserrat. So then we're ending up in what is likely a decision. Montserrat is the more experienced fighter. Montserrat has the takedowns. Montserrat is a Mexican fighting on the Mexican Independence Day fight card. She might get a nice little decision. So, fading both of them. Montserrat could outright win this fight. If I was choosing between Rodrigo Sezinando, who we just broke down, and Montserrat Rendon, about the same price, Montserrat a little more expensive, it's actually an interesting choice because Montserrat is actually a UFC caliber fighter with a win in the UFC. The other two are both regional fighters trying to be in the UFC. But Alice is a hyped prospect that could be very, very real and exciting going forward. I would probably go with Sezinando because I've seen how incredibly tough he is, where Montserrat, she got 3 takedowns in her last fight and she did score 35 points. But even if she won that fight, that's only 65 points on a $7,400 salary. So I'm probably going to fade both of them here. I just don't trust Alice yet, at least not at this point in her career. Then we have Alessandro Costa taking on Alden Coria. Alessandro Costa, massive favorite here. Tremendous favorite. And you know what? He hits hard. He's aggressive. He's got a lot of interesting techniques here because he is 5'4". He's just a little itty bitty thing, but he is a solid striker. He does have good takedown defense. He's got a high, tight guard. He can be patient. He'll wait and then he'll explode. Everything he throws is 100% intended to knock somebody out. He does a really nice job of small combinations, right? 1-2, 1-2-3. He's not going in there throwing big, long combinations. It's quick out, quick out. He does have insane power. He's got some good leg kicks as well. He can be low volume. He is coming off that finish win over Kevin Borjas and a little over a year away. And he's taking on a UFC newcomer in Alden Coria. Alden Coria is a busy grappler. He's got a nice little single leg. He just bends over and picks it up. That's it. Just bends over, picks up the single leg. And when he can get that, it's pretty impressive because as soon as he picks it up, he's running the pipe. He's taking a step backwards. He's looking to dump you on your ass. He's making stuff happen. Alden Coria is better than these odds indicate, but I don't think he wins this fight. He's also pretty tough, which makes it kind of a tricky situation because I do think that we're going to get an Alessandro Costa win here. But in order for him to be worth that money, we're going to need a finish out of him. And I don't quite know if we're going to get that. Obviously, he has finishing ability. He has finished opponents in the past. If we look at Alden Coria, he does have 3 losses on his record. But if you look at those losses, one's a submission and the others are decisions. So it's not as if he's been getting chinned before. Costa's not going to sub him here. We may end up with a decision. I'm probably going to avoid Costa. While I'm confident he wins, I don't know if he's going to cover such an inflated salary. Then we have Zach Reese taking on SD Dumas. I will have Zach Reese in my lineup. 8,900 is not enough. He should be the first $10,000 fighter we've ever seen. Zach Reese, while is not amazing, that price point isn't necessarily a reflection of Zach Reese's skill sets as much as it is of his opponent, Sedriques Dumas. Zach Reese is a pretty big guy at 6'4". Everything he throws is with intent. He's got some decent power in the mix. Zach Reese also has some decent wrestling in the mix. You can see here he had a couple of takedowns. He had some control. He was making some stuff happen with Dusko Todorovic. His losses in the UFC are interesting. Obviously, Azamat Bakoyev is very good. Like, very good. That guy could do something very big in this division. So that is what it is. The Cody Brundage loss was a little disappointing because Zach Reese, while he is like very coiled and has some real power in his hands, can be a jiu-jitsu nerd. And in that fight, he was kind of jiu-jitsu nerding it up. He was hanging on to a triangle. He just got power bombed, like straight up power bombed. But if you look at the wins, like, all right, Daniel Medina outworked him, 5 takedowns, had a reversal, 7 minutes of control time. Julian Marquez just absolutely smoked that fool. But again, my confidence in Zach Reese isn't as much about him as it is about SD Dumas. SD Dumas is fucking terrible. He's not a good fighter. He beats Cody Brundage. That was short notice for Cody. He beats Otman Azaitar in the sloppiest shit fight I've ever seen in my entire life. Beats Dennis Tululin. That dude is cut as well. The only win he has over anybody actively on the roster that isn't 400 years old is Cody Brundage, and that was short notice where Cody won the first round and then just did nothing. Did a Cody Brundage situation where he just stopped doing stuff in that fight. SD Dumas doesn't hit very hard, isn't very technical, doesn't have great takedowns, doesn't have great... Like, he's not great at anything. He's tough. He's a street fighter who worked his way into the UFC. He's trying to learn, but he's a literal white belt in jiu-jitsu. And we're talking about a guy that didn't come from any actual background. He had a lot of social media popularity. He's also a guy that is tweeting out his bank statements. He has $13 in his checking account. And while I understand that struggling with finances is a reality for a lot of people, Charles Johnson was just public about he had negative money in his account going into his last fight. The difference, though, is Charles Johnson has a family. And Charles Johnson is trying to pay for that family and trying to build businesses and do things with his life. SD Dumas, in his own admission, doesn't have money because he's constantly paying for lawyers and court fees because this dude is in trouble every other week. His last arrest, they found him allegedly robbing a house, hiding in the dog cage. That dude's not winning this fight. Zach Reese all day. Then we have Jesus Aguilar taking on Luis Gurule. Luis Gurule, first of all, sounds like a cartoon villain, like the bad guy in a Smurfs movie. Luis Gurule. Fighting-wise, he's actually pretty good. He's light in his toes, pressured forward striker. He bounces around before leaping in and throwing those strikes. He's aggressive both on the feet and on the ground. He's got decent power, good enough shape to push that pace for 15 full minutes. He will take a step back. He will reset, and then he'll engage with the grappling. He's got solid top pressure if he gets a takedown. Submissions are there, but mostly looking for bully takedowns and then ground and pound. He's a decent favorite here, and I get it. He probably should be because his opponent at this point in his career is almost guillotine or bust. Jesus Aguilar has 11 wins. 8 of those wins are stoppages. 5 of those stoppages are from guillotines. This dude is a guillotine merchant. He has more guillotine wins than SD Dumas has wins total of any accord. That's not a true statement, but it'd be nice if it was. Jesus Aguilar's a tough dude. He can strike, he can grapple. He's not great at anything, but he is really, really tough. He is really durable. He's constantly working. He just lost to Rafael Estevam, but in that fight, he was scrappy. He had 2 of his own takedowns against a very good wrestler. He did have, and you don't see it in the stats here, he did have a pretty tight guillotine where we're like, holy shit, here we go again. So I'm going to pick Luis Gurule to win this fight. I think he can stay safe on the ground. He's the better striker. He's the better grappler. Luis Gurule should win this fight. He's coming off that loss in the UFC debut to Ode Osborne, but Ode's not a bum, and he almost knocked out that actual bum, Steve Erceg. Jesus Aguilar is certainly live for a submission, so if you're doing multiple lineups and you're using our optimizer in standard mode, I would definitely adjust the minimum exposure. I would make sure that Jesus is in some of your lineups, because if he wins, it will be by submission. Obviously, the event simulator will give you the probability of that as well. I'm going to go ahead and pick Luis Gurule. I'm not going to put him in my lineup because Jesus is tough. I don't see him finishing Jesus. And he might not even engage in the grappling because he is worried about the guillotine. So then we end up with just kind of a sloppy kickboxing match. Then we have Amanda Lemos taking on Tatiana Suarez. I am picking Tatiana. $9,400 seems like a lot of money, but hey, look at what she scores in all of her other wins. I am going to have Tatiana Suarez in my DraftKings fantasy lineup. She's an unbelievable wrestler. She might be the most accomplished female wrestler on the roster today. She's got phenomenal jiu-jitsu as well. If she gets you on the ground, you are not getting up. And she will, in all likelihood, either find a submission or rack up more control time than you could ever imagine. She is coming off the beating to Weili Zhang, but Weili Zhang is an all-time great, and I am predicting right now that Weili Zhang beats Valentina Shevchenko for that belt. She is taking on Amanda Lemos. Amanda Lemos is going to come into this with that Muay Thai striking and all the experience in the world. I mean, she comes back to 2017 in her official UFC debut, but look at the win streak she put together. She's got good quality wins. Ketlin Souza, Angela Hill, Jessica Andrade. That was a loss. She got pushed up against the cage and she got choked against the cage. That actually was kind of embarrassing. She beats Waterson Gomez. She beats Rodriguez. She beats Mackenzie Dern. She beats Eisman Lucindo in her last fight. So Amanda Lemos has a ton of experience. She did fight for a belt. She's earned her place in this division. I just don't think she's going to be able to stop the takedown. She's the better fighter. Amanda is the better overall fighter. If we were rating each individual skill and then totaling those up, Amanda's going to have the higher score. But if you can't defend the takedowns, none of the other skills matter. They just don't. And I don't think she will. I think Tatiana beats her. And I'm going to have Tatiana in my lineup because of the upside from the takedowns. And there could potentially be a submission as well. Then we have Claudio butt-scooting jiu-jitsu nerd Puelles taking on Joaquim Silva. Claudio Puelles, $8,200. He was an underdog just a few days ago, but he flipped to a favorite right before DraftKings cut this pricing, so now he's the favorite. He is an unbelievable grappler. I would not say he's a fighter, but he is an unbelievable grappler. He's a guy that if you engage with the grappling, you're going to have a tough night. Jordan Levitt found out, as did others. And the reason I singled out Jordan Levitt is because Jordan Levitt's a very good grappler in his own right, but he went grapple for grapple with Claudio, and Claudio's just better. Claudio Puelles got embarrassed against Dan Hooker. He was literally pulling guard, scooting on his butt, refusing to fight because he can't hang. He can't hang in the striking. His takedowns aren't great, at least not at that point in time. So he relies on people to engage him in the jiu-jitsu. We did see some improvements in the takedowns. You can see he had 7 takedowns here against Faraz Ziam. Now, they were spammy kind of takedowns, but the reality is he had 7 takedowns in that fight. And whether Faraz is tired or not, or whatever other excuse you want to make, doesn't matter. He had 7 takedowns in that fight. He's taking on Joaquim Silva. Joaquim Silva is a little older for this division, but he's a great grappler with heavy, heavy hands. And even though he's a great grappler, you don't see a lot of takedowns out of him. You can see in his fight history here, he has 2 takedowns in his last 6 fights. In his last 6 fights, he has 2 takedowns. He has 3 takedowns total in 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 UFC fights. But he is a good grappler. He just doesn't shoot the takedowns. He does have some very real power. If we rewind to the Arman Sarukian fight, he had Arman on ice skates. He wasn't credited with a knockdown, but it was close. The issue is Arman didn't literally fall down, but he was wobbled. Wobble. Joaquim Silva can absolutely 100% win this fight. It is a 50-50 fight. When Claudio was a dog, I picked him. And I do think he wins. The improvement in the takedowns could very well be the difference here. But Joaquim Silva, certainly live. He's got power in his hands. He keeps that power. He fights like a man. And Claudio, we've seen at times, doesn't fight. I'm going to pick Claudio Puelles, but there's no shot No shot I spend the money on him in a DraftKings fantasy lineup. Then we have Dusko Todorovic taking on Jose Daniel Medina. Dusko Todorovic, $9,300. Let me show you his record real quick. Loss. Beat somebody who was cut. Loss. 1-4 in his last 5, $9,300. His opponent must be horrible. Because Dusko's actually not horrible. If we look, all right, he lost to Zach Reese. Zach Reese isn't the best, but I just walked through earlier where he can do well. Mansour Abdul Malik has some very real power, so that happened. Chris Duncan, very good striker, so that happened. Chidi Njokuani, very good striker, so that happened. Gregory Rodriguez, very good, so that happened. Punahele Soriano, very good, so that happened. Like, these are good losses. These are quality losses. He beats Jordan Wright. He's supposed to. He beats Maki Patolo. He's supposed to. He beats Robert Townsend. He's supposed to. Credit to me for remembering that guy. Dusko Todorovic actually has some skills. He had 4 takedowns in that last fight with the reversal. Dusko Todorovic is a well-rounded guy. He can be tough. He can get chinned, obviously. But I don't see Jose Medina chinning him. Jose Medina is not exactly a big one-punch power kind of guy. Jose Daniel Medina is more of a grappler himself. He wants to move forward, drag you to the ground. He's got decent striking. He is dangerous on the ground. When he's striking, there's boxing, but it's nothing crazy. Not particularly powerful, not really fast. His hands are in the right places at the right time. While I do think Jose could have some success, get some takedowns, maybe have a minute or two of some glory. He did just get knocked out by Atabak Gutier, but he had to get hit hard a bunch of times for that to happen. He is incredibly tough. I just think overall Dusko's the better fighter. Whether he finishes Medina or not is a whole different game because Medina, like Atabak Gutier, is someone who hits very hard. Dusko probably doesn't hit as hard as Ataba does. So I likely avoid both of them here, even though I do think Dusko wins. Maybe some exposure if you think Dusko can go ahead and find himself a submission. Then we have Quang Lee taking on Santiago Luna, Border Boy, making his UFC debut. He's tough. He's gritty. He can grind. He's got sneaky power, a never say die attitude, that fighting spirit, the Mexican fighting spirit. He's very athletic. Incredible chin, technique for days. He's only $8,300. And this price point, the $8,000, $8,200, or $8,100, $8,300 price point, is in more optimal lineups than any other price point, the winner of that fight. So you're going to need to either have Santiago Luna or Quang Lee in your lineup. If we take a look at Quang Lee, $7,900. You may say, Angelo, that math. What's up with that math? Well, that's because there was some shuffling on the card. Quang Lee was supposed to fight the co-main event, Daniel Martinez. They moved some things around. Quang Lee already had a price established. It is what it is. That's where we're at. Quang Lee is pretty good. You can see he lost to Chris Gutierrez. He lost to Zhao Long. He did just beat Gaston Bolanos. And the gap between the Long and the Bolanos fight, Quang Lee said, I need to go back to my roots and wrestle more. And you can see here he did. 4 takedowns. Ultimately found that submission. Quang Lee's decent. He's got decent striking, good Muay Thai stance. He can wrestle as well. I just think Santiago Luna is going to be too tough, too busy, too active, too gritty, too athletic. I don't see Quang out striking him or necessarily out grappling him, but he is a young kid. It is his UFC debut. You never know what you're going to get. But given the history of these stats, Santiago Luna is probably going to be in my lineup. Then we have Diego Ferreira taking on Alexander Hernandez. I like Diego Ferreira. I think he's a very good fighter. I think he hits hard. And an indication of that is the fact that every single one of these wrestlers was just looking to take him down non-freaking stop. Gillespie, Gamrot. He did knock out Johnson in one of the worst knockouts I've ever seen in my life. Then he outdogged Rebecca, which was pretty fucking surprising. And then he knocks out... Never mind. Then he got wet blanketed by Grant Dawson. So now, this resume would indicate, like, holy shit, Diego Ferreira is good. Like, all right, he got held down by Grant Dawson, but he started to take over late. He outdogged an absolute dog in Rebecca. That's impressive. He knocked out Michael Johnson, who just beat that absolute clown shoe bum a few months ago. And his other losses, Gamrot, Gillespie, Dariush, those are quality. And that's all true. That is all very true. The problem is, Diego Ferreira is old. He's old, and he's starting to slow down. And while we don't really get to see him shine that often because they do just keep throwing wrestlers at him, the reality is I think very highly of Anthony Hernandez. He's fast. He's athletic. He hits hard. He's got good wrestling. He's got great cardio. I think Anthony Hernandez wins this fight. I think he's the better fighter everywhere except raw power. Maybe his jiu-jitsu for jiu-jitsu technique isn't quite better, but in an MMA fight, his jiu-jitsu is perfectly fine. He's not getting subbed here. So I think Alexander Hernandez wins this fight, and he's a guy that we've broken him down in the past. We've talked about the fact that he doesn't always put it together. We know how fast and clean athletic as he is, but sometimes he's a little gun-shy. Sometimes he doesn't let his hands go. Sometimes he'll make weird decisions, but we haven't been getting that lately. Even in the Jackson fight, he almost knocked him out late. The Austin Hubbard fight, dog fight. Kurt Hollabaugh, dog fight. Chase Hooper, knocked him out. He's finding his rhythm. He's hitting his home. He's basically fighting at home. He did just fight in August, not even a full month removed from that fight. And while Diego didn't technically fight at UFC 319, he did cut the weight. He did do all the things, and his fight was canceled. So I would say they're about even as far as making weight, training, all of that. This is home for Anthony Hernandez. He's literally fighting at home. I'm going to pick Hernandez, and you know what? I might shoot my shot here because even in regular wins, he can score well. He's a bit inconsistent, right? The Hubbard fight, 65 points, and that's because there was no takedowns, just engage in the striking. Given how hard Diego Ferreira hits, I imagine he's going to engage in the grappling like he did with Kurt Hollabaugh, and that win got him 91 points. So Alexander Hernandez is going to be the pick, and I will probably have some exposure to him. Then we have Kelvin Gastelum and Dustin Stoltzfus. You can't trust Kelvin Gastelum at this point. You can't trust him in the last couple of years, honestly. Very talented. He's got good hands. He's got Division I wrestling experience. He's got a granite chin. He has fought the best people on planet Earth, but you don't know what you're going to get. The guy misses weight, doesn't seem to give a shit at all. He'll just miss weight, not give a fuck. He'll lose a fight like, whatever. We want to go film a vlog where I eat tacos? Come on. It's not a guy you can trust. I think he wins here. Let's look at his recent opponents, and then we'll look at his opponent and his opponents. He loses to Joe Pyfer in a fight that he was certainly taken over at the end. He beats Rodriguez. He's losing pretty badly to Sean Brady. It's actually this loss that has me worried about things because going into that fight, I was like, he was a Division I wrestler. I don't see Sean Brady just ragged on him. Sean Brady fucking ragged on him. He beats Chris Curtis. He loses to Jared Cannonier, loses to Robert Whitaker, beats Heinisch, loses to Hermanson, loses to Till. I mean, that's a fucking bad loss. But that was Till before he was like a fat alcoholic. Loses to Izzy in an all-time war. Like, he has fought, like, look at all of these names and at the time that he fought them. If we go to his opponent, if we go to Dustin Stoltzfus, he's got decent fights on here, but you can't compare these things. Ruzaboyev's good. He lost that fight. It was actually pretty competitive. Marc-Andre, decent. Fajeda, lost that fight. Punahele, subbed. Magomedov, knocked out. Grant, decision. Mearshart, these are not phenomenal fighters. But Dustin Stoltzfus is also a guy that has a lot of other skills. He's got a black belt in multiple martial arts. He has power in his hands. His only actual issue is he doesn't really have much of a chin. Kelvin Gastelum has a huge chin, but we're not really seeing Kelvin Gastelum one punch knock people out. So I do think Kelvin wins this fight because his chin is too good. He might have Dustin rocked at some point. I think Kelvin wins. I'm going to pick Kelvin here. I am not putting him in my lineup because you cannot trust that guy. And Dustin might randomly come out here, turn into a wrestler, and look like Sean Brady. While Dustin might be landing clean, Kelvin's not going to react, so there's not really a knockout upside there. But Dustin is a guy that, as long as his chin holds up, he's big, he's strong, he's athletic, and he can make some stuff happen. I'm going to pick Kelvin. I'm going to avoid both of them for a fantasy lineup. Then we have Jared Gordon taking on Rafa Garcia. Jared Gordon is getting so much love now, it's insane. And I'm not saying it's insane like he doesn't deserve it. I'm saying it's insane because this dude has never gotten love before. And all of a sudden, everybody is so insanely convinced that he is going to beat Rafa Garcia. I'm a bit surprised by the love. And he is good. He just knocked out Thiago Moises, and Thiago doesn't suck. Before that, he got screwed in a decision with Nasrat Haqparast. He beats Olympic wrestler Mark Madsen. The Bobby Green fight, he was winning that fight. At least it looked like it was in the first round, but it looked like he was getting the better of those exchanges. And then there was a headbutt. And then the Paddy Pimblett fight, famously, got robbed. That was an actual robbery. You can argue the Nasrat one. This one was an actual robbery. Loses to Grant Dawson, loses to Oliveira. These are good losses. He's been around for a while. He is old, but it doesn't seem to matter because he doesn't seem to be slowing down. He's not the most active guy in the world, about one fight a year. But the reality is, Jared Gordon is a good, well-rounded fighter who can make some things happen, and he is a considerable favorite here. So if we look at a decision win, which we have to go back pretty far to find one, we look at Santos, the volume was there. He put up 100 points. I don't know if he's going to knock out Rafa Garcia because Rafa's tough, but Jared Gordon typically in his wins pays for himself. If you think he wins, you should have some exposure in your lineup. Look at his opponent, Rafa Garcia. Rafa Garcia was just like a come-forward, grindy wrestler who would make stuff happen. Rafa Garcia is tough. He's gritty. He's durable. But he actually isn't that guy anymore. He's still tough and durable for the most part. Obviously, Grant Dawson just beat the fuck out of him on the ground. But he's turned into more of a jabbing, distant striker than he did the forward pressure aggression guy. Let's look at this. Let's go back even farther. 5 takedowns, 7 takedowns, 3, 6. None. And he got 2 in his last fight against Vince Pichel in a fight that I don't even know if he actually won. So I'm going to pick Jared Gordon. I might go out on a limb and even put him in a lineup. My only concern here is Rafa just won a decision he probably didn't earn. Jared Gordon has been screwed multiple times in decisions he should have gotten. This is a Mexican-themed fight card against a Mexican. We might get screwed on the scorecards here, but Jared Gordon should win, and therefore I'm probably having my lineup because he does score well. Then we have Rob Font taking on David Martinez. This is a new co-main event. Rob Font was added to the card a little while ago. I wouldn't call it short notice, but it certainly wasn't, multiple months. He was supposed to fight Chiwiwi, and then that dude dropped, so they shuffled the card around. They moved David Martinez up. Rob Font, a boxer. I could leave it at that. You're not going to see a lot of takedowns out of him. You're not going to see a lot of, inside trips. We're not going to see a whole bunch of leg kicks, head kicks. He's 99% a boxer. Now, even at his age, his boxing is clean. It's fast. He's in and out of the pocket before you know what's going on. And he's got all the veteran composure you can imagine. He's coming off this win, that's in air quotes, over Jean Matsumoto, where I don't think he won that fight. That felt like bullshit to me. But he is fighting David Martinez. The problem with this fight is we don't have a big enough sample size. David Martinez beat the absolute shit out of a bunch of regional guys and then Simon Oliveira. I mean, who the hell's Simon Oliveira at this point in his career? So David Martinez is fast. He's a mobile striker. I've said that he's got that Dominic Cruz style movement. He's always doing something, very in, very out. He's got some power. He's got some speed. He's got great leg kicks where he slows down his opponents. I think you need exposure to David Martinez. I would not have Rob Font in my lineup. The only way he could really be worth his money, because Rob Font's got pillow fists, so even if you think he wins because of just veteran experience, he doesn't score well. Look at this. 58 points in a win. And that makes sense because he's got pillow fists. He had 61 significant strikes. He's not knocking anybody out unless you're Adrian Yanez. He's not knocking anybody out, and he's just not taking you down. He's not doing anything. He either needs to win a striking match, which is very possible, or he's going to get pushed around. So I'm going to pick Rob. I actually think that the veteran savvy, the composure, the speed in the boxing, I think all of that can work very well for him here. But David Martinez is in a position to play spoiler. At his age, his speed, I would have some exposure there. Main event, Jean Silva. I'm not going to fuck around here. He's the pick. He will be in the lineup. We have 5 rounds to work with. He might finish Diego Lopes. Diego Lopes has been finished before. I know in the UFC, sort of a different situation, but Diego Lopes has been chinned. Jean Silva's the cleaner, faster, better striker. Jean Silva is, yes, a fighting nerd, and their success has been hard to find recently, but Jean Silva has fought actual good fighters. Short notice step up in weight against Drew Dober, knocks his ass out. Charles Jourdain, well-rounded, accomplished guy, smokes him. Weston Wilson, that one doesn't count. Bagdasaryan, while he's not the best guy in the UFC roster, he is a very, very good kickboxer, beats his ass. Bryce Mitchell, ranked in the division, only basically lost to former world champions and current world champions, beats the shit out of him. Jean Silva's the real deal. If we take a look at Diego Lopes is a very good grappler and a powerful striker. I left a lot of things out of there on purpose. He's not a good wrestler, offensively or defensively, and his striking technique isn't necessarily there. His hands are where they're supposed to be, and then they get wider, and then he gets looping, and then he chases. He does have power. He should have knocked out Ortega a few times, and honestly, he almost knocked out Volkanovski. That second round was dicey, and he almost made something happen. But then Volk weathered the storm, took over. I don't think Diego Lopes with his chin twitch, hitch, whatever the hell he does with his neck, I don't think that's going to work well for him because that's the exact type of small thing that Jean Silva will zero in on time and take advantage of. Diego Lopes is a good fighter. This is not a good matchup. His wrestling's not good enough to get it to the ground. His striking's not good enough to hang on the feet. He loses. He might even get finished. 5 rounds to work with. Jean Silva will be in the lineup. Guys, that's the breakdown. Check out the website. We have so many freaking tools, it's out of control. It is quite literally the greatest offering in this space. There's nothing remotely close. Literally nothing. This is an event simulator. It simulates every fight on the card 100,000 times, give you the outputs. We're not the only ones with this, right? There's one called Saber Sim. I don't even need to tell you how much it costs. Go look it up. 30 years worth of premium membership for 1 month. And that's not an exaggeration. It's insane what that cost. We're including it here for $10 a month. The DraftKings Optimizer, $10 a month. The industry first. Nobody else has a beginner mode, just us. Because I said to our developer, hey, I know my audience. We've got some people that know exactly what they're doing and that just want the tools and they're professionals at this. But we have a lot of people who just enjoy fights and want to make a couple of dollars and play fantasy with the sport that they love. So let's lower the barrier of entry and not everybody has to be freaking Rain Man to do this. So we added the beginner mode. We have picks, we have bets, we have tools. It's $10 an entire month because we're a couple of guys trying to build something here, and we're in the volume business. The more of you that sign up, there's economies of scale. Guys, I appreciate every last one of you. Thank you for being here. Good luck this weekend. Go to wewantpicks.com, click Become a Member. It's $10 a month, and hopefully we all do pretty well this weekend. I'm looking forward to this fight card. I will be there with Jacob. Jacob and I will be there in person. So if you are, come say hi. I love meeting people. I'll buy you a drink. We'll hang out. Good luck this weekend. This should be a really fun fight card.